Hey everybody, I am standing on top of a hot air balloon over Skydive San Diego here in Skydive Sim. They added something exceptionally cool here, and I inadvertently discovered that I can land and use this new, he calls it JETPACK function. So you turn into Iron Man, you can turn on your hands and fly around. And I discovered that I was able to climb if I hold full power and go up here. And now I can jump off again. I just jumped off. And now I'm skydiving again. Wait, I can't pull. Uh-oh, I can't pull. I got to use my rocket thrusters. All right, let's put on the rock. There we go. All right, I want this in the real thing. All right, so if you do a second jump like this, I've now discovered that you aren't able to pull. So I'm going to just fly around here. It's pretty intuitive. Keep in mind that the power, which is on your triggers, uh, is turning is pretty straightforward. It's kind of like free fall, but you can modulate the power. You can add or reduce, so it's not just on or off. So you've got the ability to fine tune where you end up, down, sideways, the whole thing, and you can land right in the middle of the target a lot easier than a parachute, which is pretty amazing. I think that you're going to find that this is definitely one of the most fun things you've ever done. Um, I like the idea of exploring this with other people around and flying relative to them. Lots of questions. If can I fly up like this and go high enough to get a canopy up? Well, maybe. I don't know. But right now, I'm just learning sort of how to maneuver, how to. This is just a. I don't know how to get rid of that screen. It's not when I'm flying. But I'm just trying to get a feel for how does it maneuver, right? So just like in free fall, if I tilt my hand so my left pinky is low, I'm going to turn to the right because I'm vectoring the thrust in opposition to the axis of the direction of motion of my rotation on the yaw axis. Piece of cake. So I'm able to climb high enough to get up to this balloon, which is, it's low enough that you can get there quickly. And you can get with this relative reference, just like flying a parachute, you're going to have an easier time of learning without running into the ground again and again and again like I did the first few times I flew the jetpack. But play around with the modulation. I think it's really neat that if you sort of gently add power and not necessarily just on or off, then you can kind of dial it in and fly yourself up to the top of a hot air balloon. And whoop, there we go. Let's ease it on. There you go. So you're able to get back up here again. Pretty amazing. I think this is definitely one of the most fun things that I've ever done with a computer. So I can, regular free fall abilities, I can even turn and stuff, but I need the rocket thrusters to come back down if I've already made a jump, right? So I'm beginning all this after I've already done a regular skydive. So let's see if I can fly in over to the target. Oh, kind of a thumpy landing. Got to flare a little higher. Good to know. Let's start over. I'm going to replay, and let's actually do a real jump. All right, back on the hot air balloon over Skydive San Diego in Southern California. Woohoo! I like it that there's clouds. That's pretty awesome. So I have the ability to maneuver. I can turn, and I've got the relative reference of the clouds. I just love that. It has a little loop here for pulling, but you can pull on your BOC. The loop is there for the non-jumpers, right? So they know how to pull. So 56, keeping an eye on altitude, waving off, reaching back to my BOC and pulling. And there's my canopy. No rush. Get on rears first to steer towards a clear area away from the jump run, then get your steering toggles. And I love that that the Skydive Sim guys have added these hot air balloons. It's not in all of the locations, the simulation locations, but in the Skydive San Diego one, it's relatively accurate dimensionally, and now you've got a relative reference to learn how to fly this parachute, right? So it's distinct, just like any other canopy, You jump a different parachute, you got to learn, how much brakes do you need? And what I've discovered is that full flight is about 2-to-1 glide ratio on this simulator and on Skydive VR, which is the more kind of professional drop zone oriented one. If I add brakes to about half brakes, the glide ratio goes to 3.5-to-1. I actually measured it comparing to Google Maps. And so I was able to learn that basically by adding about half brakes, the canopy performs as if it's in rear risers. And that's really helpful if you're going to come up short of your target. Who has not wanted to do this? Right? Seriously, right? To fly around a hot air balloon. Some people have gotten a chance to do this. I love jumping out of hot air balloons. That's one of my favorite jumps of all time. So let's set up a really nice pattern here and see if I can demonstrate a nice textbook way. I've got no wind. See that, right? So that triangle will indicate the wind. I can set it however I want, but in this sim, there's none. So I am now going to do my best to fly a real box, right? So I'm going to look at the distance that I travel on this pre-base leg, and I'm offsetting about to the road on this simulator, right? And if this particular drop zone, San Diego, if you're over the road at 600 feet, starting your base leg, that should be about right. So that'll be a nice reference if you happen to be landing with the runway on your right. And now turning towards final approach in a moment, you got to eyeball this, feel it out on and off with the toggle. You don't have to just jam a toggle down. Be fluid and gentle. Look at the glide, see where it's going to go. And if you're going to come up a little short, add a little bit of brakes, and then it'll glide you as if you're in rear risers. Of course, in rear risers, you wouldn't want to lose all your speed for the flare. And here we go. That's pretty good. That worked. Yeah, 1 foot. 0 inches. I like it. Nice score. So I think this sim is just wonderfully fun. I think for drop zone training, I would recommend, there's nothing wrong with having this one also, but the Skydive VR is very good. But this is really, really cool. Whoa, there we go. Look at that. Hey, for some reason, I got a canopy. I flew up and got a canopy. So now we know we can do that. I'm Brian Germain, and thank you for joining me here on Skydive Sim.